Welcome. How you doing tonight?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's your week been?
Very good. And yours?
Been busy. Always,
Yeah.
always is. Coming back from a little weekend getaway, catching up on everything.
Good
And
for you.
kind of our week of launching a bunch of new programs too. So we've had a flurry of new people signing up and getting all the schedule organized and all that. But
Good.
been a good week.
Good.
Yeah. How's the Caden doing?
I've tried a little different approach teaching him. So instead of trying to, kind of do multiple things, I have kind of went backwards a little bit, and I'm focusing on how and what to do when he gets to the player to get around the player, to drive around the player to get to the hoop.
Okay.
So that's what we've been mostly focusing on. Is I do a couple of drills. I don't keep on them. I do about 10 or 15 a night each side. So we're doing our left and our right, going to the hoop. And I've been focusing on it, on making sure that we get the two-step drive to the layup instead of multiple dribbles in the layup to get to the hoop.
Okay. Yeah. That's a really important factor for sure. Make sure he's efficient once he gets by the guy. Right. Well, that sounds good. So you're working out just in your driveway or in the garage, or how's that? What's that scenario like?
Right now, we have a 6-foot hoop in my basement because my garage is not ready yet. It's ready, but it's not. So we just use that as, our backboard, but we use the basement, and we also have a pole right on the way. So we use the pole as a defender.
Okay.
So I can watch as his movements coming up to the player. What he's doing is his pivot coming off, is he actually tight enough to the defender?
Mhm.
And I've been focusing on more of the fundamentals of doing the right move for those right now.
Okay. Yeah.
They seem to be starting to work well. Will we implement it with a player? That remains to be seen.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's always the challenge is trying to then translate that to, live action when everything can go downhill quickly when you got some pressure on you. Right. Well, that sounds good. Getting some extra repetitions of just, how to make your body move to get around somebody when they're in your way, essentially. Right.
Yes.
Cool. So I know you worked or you were at the session with Coach Nicole this weekend. How'd that go? I know you said she was awesome. She did a good job.
Yes.
Any questions come out of what they were working on this week?
Nope. Actually, she just went back over some of the things we knew.
Yeah.
And it's great because it's a reminder that we're not doing the things that we know.
Sure.
And it's a good reminder for me too, because that's a lot for me to take in.
Yeah. For sure.
Try to put it back in perspective for him.
Yeah.
But so it's good, and it's great that I can come and stay and watch and participate in, so that I can focus on the proper moves that you guys are teaching him.
Sure. No, that's good. I think I often lose track of how much time or how many repetitions it takes to really make something stick. I'm often running in my brain on the next thing that we need to work on. But yeah, it's often really useful, especially after some time has passed. We went through the 4 weeks with Caden doing the one-on-one course, and now it's probably been a month or more ago he's finished that. And so getting that review a month later is often really valuable because, like you said, he's played a few games since then. He's done some other things, worked on some other things, and yeah, just kind of that reminder. Oh yeah, I knew how to do this, and had stopped doing it, or whatever the case may be. So that's awesome. Any thoughts or questions on your mind for tonight?
Nope. I was just, I like to be on your Zoom. I like to participate because I hope other people will, see that this thing is trying to take off and enjoy just participating in it, because I do enjoy participating in it. And it would be great, really good if some other people came in and we start getting other ideas from other parents too. Good or bad, doesn't matter. Just other things that, what are they trying to achieve?
Yeah, no, I really want to try to make this a platform, to just, share parent experiences, what they're struggling with, and players as well. I'd like to get some of our players to get on here and, talk about what they're struggling with as they go through their spring season and stuff. I think it'd be great. Topic that's been on my mind this week is kind of the contrast of approaches, I guess. I guess I see it right now as kind of the dominant culture for all sports is really geared toward counting hours, in the gym, or counting games that they played. I played 100 games last year, therefore, I'm a better player, hopefully because of it. Or, I did my 10,000 hours. It's a lot of I guess a lot of misdirected effort has come out of that concept. I don't know. How familiar are you with the 10,000 hour concept? Is that something that you've heard before?
I've heard something similar to that, and
Yeah.
I've watched multiple videos on YouTube of different clinics and different techniques, and some of these young players in what they do to get to where they're at. Kind of in my mind, I don't think I want to go that far.
Mm,
I don't think that I want Caden to train for 7 hours a day at 8, 9 years old.
right.
It's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I have met players. I just met a player that plays overseas, and he didn't even start playing basketball till he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And he is in a professional G League overseas.
Mm.
So, hence that tells me that, he didn't do 10,000 hours when he was 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Right.
So, at some point, I think also the ability to play any type of sport, it becomes important too.
Yeah. No,
Just,
absolutely. I'm a big fan of playing multiple sports. And,
yeah.
yeah, I think the origin of the studies that kind of brought out that conclusion of 10,000 hours, 10,000 engaged hours, in any skill in order to really master it. I think there is, there is value in that concept, and having some big target like that is helpful in some ways. But I think it's gone off track where people are just counting time, and counting all time equal is really the problem. Where because I was on a elite AAU team and played 100 games last year across all 4 seasons of the year, therefore I'm better. And really what I've seen is that you're either getting injured from overuse, or you're getting burnt out because of the pace of practicing and playing that many games. And you're really not progressing that much because you're trying to win games, and you're kind of avoiding mistakes, avoiding other new things, and you really don't have time to break stuff down. One parent was talking about, you don't have time to even think about, what happened in the last game, what can I improve on, because we're already into the next tournament, tomorrow. Or, we just played a game, and 10 minutes from now we're playing another game. So I gotta like eat a snack and, drink a water, and I'm off and running. I don't have time to really process and, kind of allow the mental side of what you're doing to really percolate, and, see some progress or identify some problems that you would want to change. And so, I guess that's a big goal or a mission of mine that's kind of developing in my mind, is to try and change that culture of just counting hours and really go after results, because we got kids that are being kind of, I don't want to say abused necessarily, but they're being misdirected. They have the passion, they hear about 10,000 hours concept, and they have the passion to go do a lot of work. And, coaches are telling them, go do stationary dribbling, like go do a bunch of nonsense in my mind that doesn't really translate to game performance. And so, I guess kind of the track I've been on for several years now is to just identify the most essential shortcuts that we can give players to go from a very beginner to a very, at least intermediate player very quickly. What's the shortcut of either mental tools or skills and footwork? What are the pieces that can go from A to Z really quickly, rather than just saying, it's just going to be a matter of time. I think a lot of players get burnt out when they've been told for years that, you just need to work harder in practice, and then your time will come. Or, you just need to work more hours on the court, you need to do more in your driveway, whatever it is, they're being told as kind of the carrot, you're going to get more playing time eventually if you just do more of the same that you're already doing. And so I guess my approach is like, if what you're doing is not working, then stop. Don't do more of what's not working. Stop and think about it, and let's find a different route. Let's find a shortcut to jump to the next level really quickly, rather than kind of doing a lot of activity and hoping for the best. Is kind of how I've come to identify it. It's really painful for me to watch. Like, kids are being asked to do a lot of effort and put in a lot of their passion into the wrong thing, and they come out of it kind of feeling burnt out. I did my best, I worked, I, like the kids you're talking about, I trained my 10,000 hours in 3 years when I was 7, 8, and 9, and I don't like basketball anymore because of it. And there's not many that are that extreme, but it's still, by the time they're 8th grade, 13, 14 years old, it's like, I've been working my butt off for 4 years and I didn't make it on my 8th grade team. Like, I might as well quit now. I'm not going to try to keep going with this. If this is the way, like, if grinding more hours in the gym, just doing the same thing is the only way to do this, I don't want to do this anymore. And so anyway, I think there's a big need for a results approach, really, where it's like, we don't care what it takes. We don't care what the factors are. Like, we want to help the player reach their level of skill needed to take their next step forward, kind of no matter what that approach looks like. So kind of the, most people have a kind of a negative connotation for shortcuts, I guess. Don't shortcut the work, don't cut corners, kind of thing. But I like to look at shortcuts as a positive. Like, I want to take the fastest route to success, right? The fastest route to results in my game performance, essentially. So that was a lot of rant for me. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's coincidental. And two parts of your rants, I do have two things that I do realize two parts of what you have just said. So I do have an older son. I think I told you that he played hockey. Right. And so we're talking about 10,000 hours. I bet I probably pushed that kid to 50,000 hours and drove him into the ground. I made him play 7 days a week out in the driveway, go to his practices, go to his games. Relentless. I made him play with all older kids because I thought that'll make him better. And he ended up becoming a tremendous hockey player in high school. He was a varsity starter as a freshman. He started all 4 years. He was recognized as one of the top 10 goaltenders in the state of Massachusetts when he played. And he got offered a scholarship to the University of Maine.
Wow.
And he said, I'm tired of school and I'm tired of playing hockey. I don't want to play no more. So I can absolutely relate to that statement.
Yeah.
And you were also talking about, how these kids, well, I played 2 and 3 games and I did this and this and this. And well, I met a 14-year-old boy. I think he was at the shooting clinic Caden and I participated in over at the sports barn. And we were there the last week of, it's a shooting only clinic. And there's a boy who participated in it, and most of the whole thing, it was an 8-week clinic. And the last week he was there, but he didn't participate. And I had spoke to his mother a few times, so I knew his mother a teeny bit. And I said, why isn't he not in the shooting clinic? Well, he already played 3 games today and he's burnt out and he's tired. So there goes your training because you played 3 games today.
Yeah.
So I can relate to some of these things you said because I've been starting to be around basketball a little bit. And we've been to a few clinics and we can see the upsides and the downsides. And, I'm learning as we go along too. And so I'm trying to take the best approach that I can.
Yeah. I think it's it's a delicate balance to find in some ways. Like, you want the player to be progressing, like you were talking about, pushing your older son to practice more and try to drive the performance by volume is really, what it comes down to. And so I guess, like I said, I'm trying to find the ways that we can navigate that, kind of build the recipe that's consistent for not only one player, but multiple players to follow. You know, what is the right amount of kind of free play, you know, kind of the style we do with our Ignition League, where it's like 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, kind of freestyle, just figuring out how basketball works. And then what is needed for, you know, specific skill breakdown. And then, you know, how much 3-on-3 I think is appropriate up until about 5th grade. And then how much 5-on-5 is, you know, really necessary to make the progress happen that we want to see. And, you know, I guess I'm probably too far the other way in my perspective in some ways, because I see how many games kids are playing and, you know, like we just said, losing the opportunity to do anything else, any other parts of basketball. You know, there's no other parts of basketball available to them because they're so busy playing more games. And then, you know, the other side of that is that they're so focused on winning those games that, you know, both the coaches and the players are not focused on developing at all. It's like, whoever the best player is has got to play because we got to win this game, and we got another one 2 minutes from now and 2 more tomorrow. And so, you know, there's no time to allow a player to make mistakes. And, you know, coaches quickly adopt that mentality, and then players kind of follow. It's like, I don't want to make a mistake if I'm going to get subbed out of the game right away. So I'm not going to try anything new. And therefore I'm stagnating my game while I play all these games, and, you know, maybe have some trophies and t-shirts to show for it. I didn't actually improve at all. And so, you know, I can show you my trophy collection in 8th grade, but then I can't make it on my high school team because I didn't ever progress from when I was a 6th grader. And, you know, that to me is a real shame, where, you know, kids are getting kind of pulled in that direction. Like, you know, this is an elite team. This is the way that you're going to prove that you're a good player. And, you know, they get on a team that's called elite, but they're not really playing any other good competition. So they don't really progress. And again, they're focused on winning. So they miss out on the chance to make mistakes and really try some things out that would allow them to develop. So just, again, something kind of on my mind of how to navigate that, and how to, you know, really advise parents, because that's the role that I end up in a lot. You know, when they come to us, it's really because they've had trouble with either not finding, you know, competition because their player is unskilled, or, you know, having played really high level competition for a while, they're kind of burnt out and looking for, you know, help to kind of figure out, you know, find their passion for basketball again and really find the pieces that are going to allow them to progress. And so I don't know yet what that ideal recipe is, but in my mind, it's got to be a mix of free play and specific skill instruction, and some 5-on-5, or at least, you know, 3-on-3, where it's live defense, live offense competition, and let them just kind of work out the kinks in competition, and then have the time with either their own specific practice on their own, or with an instructor where they can go back and, like, hey, I ran into this problem. Like you're just describing with Caden is really a perfect example. You know, we're playing games, we're running into this problem where he's shooting kind of as a default when he could drive past his defender. And so now we got troubleshoot times. What I like to work on is find a problem in a game, figure out how to troubleshoot it in practice, and then send them back into the game with a new perspective and maybe a new skill set that allows them to master and overcome that problem. And, you know, that's the most rewarding coaching that I can ever do, is to troubleshoot an actual game realistic situation and get them to come out the other side with a skill set and a mindset that allows them to succeed in that same situation. So I guess that's all my thoughts on that topic. Any other thoughts or questions come up for you?
No, I kind of understand you fully, because now I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I'm not going to be that. I'm going to drive the kid into the ground 100 hours a day. So I'm also trying to find that happy medium.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to feel how Caden feels about how's this little bit we're doing tonight. And then I'll add in a few more.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'll get him to where he's comfortable with, if we're going to practice for half an hour and he's good, and I can see he's not getting, you know, sometimes they start getting disorientated and unfocused, and
Sure.
you're not achieving nothing by keep going with them. That's my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time to stop and, pick up my wounds and start on another day.
Sure.
And so,
No, I think
I think,
there's a lot to be said for, quitting while you're ahead, essentially. You get one thing accomplished that kind of clicks and sticks with them, and like don't add more layers that are going to complicate things in the future. Like there's always the chance tomorrow to come back and put another coat of paint on it after the paint has dried is always better than smearing the paint you put down, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's another reason I really like our 30-minute workout format. I found another analogy actually for that I borrowed from a marketing guy. He was making it the contrast of espresso versus coffee. You could drink a shot of espresso, or you could have a quart of coffee and have the same effect. If you're looking for caffeine, kind of thing. And that's kind of our approach. A good analogy for what we're talking about tonight is, I want to find the espresso shot that, like, we hit the player with this shot of knowledge and skill, and they covered more in that half-hour workout than they could in 3 hours, in an average practice setting. And really, trying to continually find ways to have that effect where, instead of, kind of the dominant, especially in the one-on-one training industry, like everybody is seeking more hours. Like the parents want to just have more court time, and it's really, again, more activity with the hope that they're going to get a result. And so we have conversations all the time to really to convince people and compel them to really want to work with us. It's like, we'd rather do a half hour and get something really specific accomplished than do an hour of activity and hope for the best. And so I guess that's just another facet of where I really want to try to change that dominant culture in sports, where it's really not necessary to go see a personal coach for an hour 3 days a week. Like, go see a coach for 30 minutes and get something really specific locked in the player's brain, and then let them think about it, let them walk it through, let them practice on their own in their driveway, maybe let them try it in a game, and then come back next week and we'll add another layer to the puzzle. And we just had really good results with that kind of approach. So I think we're on to something there. It's just a matter of convincing people that it's actually more valuable for us to work with you for only a half hour and give you all the support outside of that you need, than it is for us to just do more hours on the court. So actually, I guess I can ask you that question, because you've been to a lot of other clinics and seen a lot of other training and different lengths of training sessions. So how was the half-hour workout to you compared to that?
I think the half-hour workout is good, but I know, like 3 weeks in, I said to you about, I think that Caden is trying to take in too much, and then you readjust it a little bit.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to get him to take in so much.
Right.
And he's, so, when you get input vice versa from you or from the parent, and, and it works, and it worked for me because he did get something out of the last one after I had said, I think he's kind of getting a little overwhelmed with everything.
Yeah. Sorry, you still there?
He seemed to have taken that one a little better.
Yeah.
But I seems to me for Caden, for him, that the Ignite League seems to be really working much better than the one-on-one.
Yeah.
Just having that one other child or two children, because we haven't had a lot yet, but just even having one, it seems to bring up his competitiveness a little bit, where now he wants to do as good as this other boy's doing or girl's doing.
Right.
And so he's trying a little more harder at the skill that he's trying to be taught.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really why, we arrived at kind of our recommendation for our one-on-one training is for kids that are 10 years old or have played, 2 years of competitive basketball already to, really benefit the most by it. And I think that's kind of what we found with Caden. I think we can probably build like a simplified curriculum, like you were just saying, like focus on less pieces so he's not overwhelmed and make it work for that age group. But I think by far the most valuable for his age is to just play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and 3-on-3 and get more and more, contextual knowledge of what that looks like. And then, yeah, having another player your age to go head to head with and start to find some problems that, we can then give him solutions for is, really the best way to go, I think, at his age. And then, spending time like you have been working on the skills and the specific shooting stuff outside of that, just all contributes to making that more enjoyable. It's fun to play 1-on-1, but if you never hit a shot, it becomes less fun, right? So if you start to
Yeah.
build the ability to hit a shot and play 1-on-1, and then build the ability to drive and finish, and then you start to have a big tool set that's really fun to just improvise with whenever you're in competition. So that's always I guess that's been the growing trend that I've moved toward is, below, say 8 years old, like we just want to get you playing. Like 1-on-1 training is great, but we'd rather get you that game experience, get you competing and really learning by experience, learning by doing, before we try to really break stuff down and give you more specifics, because it can, I've been told even by high school kids, like my full coaching attention is a little too intense sometimes. And backing off of that a little bit for the younger age groups, it helps to diffuse it, I guess, by having a group and having it be focused on the competition, so that it's not just them alone trying to execute something with the overwhelm of all the pieces we're trying to teach them about. So yeah, I appreciate your feedback on that, of doing the half-hour workouts. And
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see, maybe 2 years from now when Caden's in, 5th grade, 6th grade, where he's at, and whether doing even the same course, or different version of 1-on-1 training, would probably be a lot more leveraged impact for him. Like he'd be able to absorb more, apply more, he'd have the context of more playing experience to fit all that inside of. And, and just physical and mental maturity too, as he grows, all that starts to make more sense for the players that are a little bit older.
Yeah. So I got to see that firsthand, and I'm hoping that maybe down the road, and when these kids are that young, these coaches start changing their philosophy, and
Yeah.
all 10 players need to play the game.
Right.
They don't need to all be specifically in the same amount of time, but they all need to get some type of share of that game.
Yeah.
And a reasonable share.
Right. No, I agree. I think, the only way to develop is to be on the floor and get that game experience, because, without that context, again, watching basketball is one thing, but without being a player on the floor and really, experiencing the problems you're going to have as a beginner, you're not going to really know, you're not going to have the context to put skills inside of. You're not going to be able to really improve without that. So yeah, I think Journeyman's one of the better programs for that. I haven't really seen the youngest age group, I guess, playing with them to see what that looks like. Mostly I've seen the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade boys. But I think generally they do better than most programs with having equal playing time and kind of making it a little less focused on winning, a little more on, getting the kids playing experience and a chance to,
Yeah.
chance to
I
play.
did like at the end of the games, they had a sit down on the center of the court with both teams in a big circle.
Mm-hmm.
Both coaches had to pick players of the game on the opposite team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was a couple other things I couldn't quite, but they're accumulating some kind of points as players in the system, and they get, given to them by the other coaches from the other team back and forth.
Right.
You got 2 points today, you got 1. So I assume they must have some kind of program that you accumulate points through this season, and it has to do with something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I've seen enough to know the specifics of it, but I know they keep really good stats. Like they have a great kind of volunteer system, and even training new volunteers all the time to keep stats of every game. And then they also have kind of a point value system for, kind of really good teammate, really good unselfish play and, a few different parameters, which is cool. I'm always a fan of having kind of your own custom metrics of how you're measuring and telling people they're succeeding. So it's great.
Yeah, because I thought it was pretty cool at the end, and how both teams had to sit down together, and they, both had to go through this with each other coaches, and
Yeah.
that was a really good part. And they had to shake hands, and they had to be teammates, even though they were on different teams.
Yeah. No, they've got a really good camaraderie, I think, across all the players there. It's a great community for sure.
Yeah, so
I'm glad you're able to go kind of check it out, see what that's like.
yeah, beautiful gym.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, beautiful gym, and full court basketball.
Yeah,
So a lot of running. I
a
said
lot
to-
of running.
I
Yeah,
said
it's
to Keaton, boy, I
feels
don't
like
know, but can you make that?
Right. Feels like a big court compared to the mini court they had in Epping, I'm sure.
Wow. Yes, you ain't kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so last couple questions.
Sure.
So the Ignition League,
Mhm.
is it going to run the same way that is that how it runs? Is the same way that I've been coming for the last 2 weeks? Is
Yes, essentially the goal is to get up to 12 players, so we have
Yeah.
more opportunity to play, 3-on-3 ideally.
okay.
But yes, from what you've seen so far is pretty much the format that we're going to stick with.
Okay. So you'll be doing, when you come in, get a little warmed up. It'll be a one-on-one, first 1 to 5 wins. Then you do a little bit of training. Then you go, I would assume if you had enough kids, 2-on-2s and a little bit of training. Is that how that format works? Or
Yeah. No, essentially we try to sandwich the skills between play each time. So,
Yep.
I think when we have more kids, we will likely start with 3-on-3, just kind of throw them in to, what we're going to be full game action for 3-on-3. And then, it's kind of our chance as coaches to observe where kids are at, what's stuck from last week and what we need to work on, outside of the plans we already have.
Yep.
And then, yeah, it's kind of also on the physical side, like heart rate up and then heart rate down, we're thinking or breaking down things, and then heart rate right back up, we're playing again. And, the kind of that wave of practice play is really, what I've come to as the best recipe there. Try to
Okay.
break
Yep.
stuff down and get right back to the game application of the same skill we just worked on as soon as possible. And then, like you just described, kind of building that back up towards playing 3-on-3 again at the end.
Okay. Yep. I'm looking forward to keep going to that because I've enjoyed that. And we've been very lucky because we've been able to attend both classes the both times we've been there. And
Yeah.
We love the extra activity. Caden loves it,
Good.
And,
Yeah, I'd
we
be
got
happy for you to continue with that. We're going to be changing that second hour, actually starting this week. It's going to be a little more specific now. We've been doing it as kind of the holdover from the Hoops Lab, had called it the Fundamental Lab, and kind of just a general skills class for that age group. But we're going to be starting our layup maker course this Saturday. So we're going to have a little more intentional approach to what we're working on each week as a progression, with specific around finishing at the rim in a lot of different ways. So yeah, Caden's welcome to stick around and join for that for sure.
Yeah, I've enjoyed both of those a lot. And last week we were by ourselves, and then Christian came.
Yeah.
And we got to participate with him for the next hour. And
great.
so it worked out very good because he got all the training by himself with her, and then he got to do the training with him and got to do a one-on-one, and they
Nice.
got to participate together. And I can see the drive is much better,
Awesome.
to be that. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
last but not least,
Yeah.
I know I keep asking you, but I'm still waiting for information on your tournament.
Yes, I actually have I have an email typed out, but I haven't sent it yet. We're actually waiting on one of our sign up links on the website to be finished, so I can point people to the website rather than having to send them just a link in an email that they might not be able to find again. So
Okay.
we are probably going to send that out tomorrow morning, and
Okay.
get that published, because we're now 4 weeks away. On Saturday will be 4 weeks from the date of April 9th. That's the
Yep.
tournament. So
And so the other question is, um, if you have enough people, how is the tournament gonna work? I guess that's my question.
yeah, well, I could use some feedback from you on that. We're gonna be publishing it out and kind of seeing how many teams sign up to help us with the structure. I guess two different formats occurred to me. One was to have kind of all the age groups staggered throughout the day. So like a third and fourth game could happen, followed by a fifth, sixth, and a seventh, eighth, and maybe even a high school if we get high school teams. And kind of repeat that cycle through the day, so the different ages get to see each other. Or we could have all the 3-4 teams play for the first 2 hours until they're done. Champion is crowned, and then the next age group starts. What do you think would be preferable from your standpoint?
So in my case, I would like that you segregate it so that Caden can see the older boys play.
Okay.
Just because, like I said, I like to show him a lot of other basketballs and players and young, older. I don't know if I got to tell you that Caden participated in a 3-day camp last week.
Yeah, I think we had talked on the phone. We were midway through the week, and I was telling you we had a camp that you didn't know about. So you mentioned that.
Yeah. So but anyways, the tournament. So how are you going to break down how many games, or
so we're saying 3 game minimum, because they're 10-minute games. They happen pretty fast. So we're gonna do, if we have a pool of 4 teams, let's say in 3rd and 4th grade, which is kind of what we're aiming for as a minimum, then you play each of the other teams in kind of the pool play, and then we go by how many wins out of that. So you could have the teams that go 2-2, team that goes 3-1, or teams that go we're playing 3. So 3-0, 2-1,
okay?
2.
So it's going to be a 3-game minimum.
3-game minimum. Yep, and then play off from there.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a better understanding of how you're going to run the tournament. And yeah. So, and one last thing. So while we were at the clinic over there, the boys were starting to feel comfortable inbounding the ball to Caden.
Okay.
Well, the older boys started saying, "Whoa," and they tackled him. Because,
Okay.
well, unfortunately, he didn't mean to, but the coach had yelled out, "Why is a 3rd grader bringing the ball in?" And I knew there was a reason behind. I don't think I maybe heard all of it. And, at the beginning at first, I'd be saying, why can't he? This is what we're learning,
right?
But anyways, I just knew there was something behind it, so I didn't freak out, like a dad would,
Yeah.
And anyways, I went and I approached the coach after, and I said, could you give me a better understanding, when my son got the ball, and he called his mother, and he was a little unhappy because he felt sad that you said, "Why does a 3rd grader have the ball?" They don't understand what you said.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh my God," he said, "I don't know. I said some things, but maybe you didn't hear me." He said, or whatever. He didn't. And he said, "I will go talk to him as soon as we're done." He said, "What I said to the boys is, why does a 3rd grader have the ball and you guys are all running down court and the other team is suffocating them?
Yeah. Right.
You need to go back and help him."
Yeah.
And that's what really was the point of it. But it just didn't sound right.
Sure.
And I knew there was a reason. They're not picking on a 3-year-old boy. He's doing good enough when he's out there with 15-year-olds just to be out there.
Yeah.
So, and it was great.
Yeah,
but
they just left him to the wolves over there.
that's what happened. They left him to the wolves, and the coach didn't like it.
Yeah.
That was what the problem was. He didn't like that they left him to the wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that makes sense.
So, but it all got fixed, and Caden was happy. And Caden was camper of the camp.
Nice.
So he got his Nike ball camp t-shirt for being camper of the camp.
All right. Good for him.
All right.
That's awesome.
So, okay.
So I had one more thing for you just to cue us up for Saturday.
Yes.
With our reinforcer program, I'd really like to get you kind of on the court with me, just kind of
Yeah.
walk where I walk and shadow me. So, while the kids are in action playing, we can chat and, you're going to be able to hear kind of everything I say and we can talk about it, during and after
Absolutely.
to make sure you're getting the most out of it there.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of unsure when I signed up and I talked to you about it, whether
Yeah.
we were going to start this at the beginning of this one, this is the first week,
Correct.
or was I going to come in? Those were the ends of the last ones. So
Right. Yeah.
I was unsure. So I said, he'll say something to me at some point.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I told Nicole I signed up for that. She was, you did? I said, yep, I'm the first and I'm going to go with it. And she said,
Cool.
no, I'm thinking about signing up for that myself. She said,
yeah, great.
oh,
We're having lots of fun with her. She's a great fit for what we're doing for sure.
oh, she is.
Yeah.
She is. Very, you can see she's very well liked to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Awesome, man.
Okay.
Well, I will let you go and
Yes,
see you on
sir.
Saturday.
All right. We'll see you Saturday.
All right.
Have a
Have a
good
good night.
evening. Bye.
Bye.